Hey guys, Sandy here. Welcome back to my channel. Today I am playing with my January Some Assemblage Required Embellishment Box. Now I know it's the end of January and I've got a decent amount of product. So I'm going to see how much I can use, how I'm feeling about it. I'm going to be scrapbooking some of the photos from Walt Disney World. This is in Hollywood Studios. So I'm going with the whole stars ticket kind of vibe here. So let's see what I can do. All right, guys, so I went ahead and pulled out 4 different papers. Now, spoiler alert, that beautiful vellum with the gold dots on it doesn't get used. I kept meaning to bring it, to bring it in somehow, but it just never happened. And that is okay because I am kind of in love with the layout that I came up with. So I have this red paper down here on the bottom, and that's from Echo Park. This solid paper is also from Echo Park, and that pattern paper is from Photoplay. Now, I cut the pattern paper from Photoplay down, and for some reason, I was thinking that my paper was larger than it was, so I ended up cutting down that stripy paper right here to 11 inches. Now, what that did was gave me too big of a gap if I kind of made the 3 edges kind of equidistant around and I just couldn't have that. So I decided to add that gray paper, and then I also decided to mat my photos on the green paper. Now, I definitely wanted the outside of the theater to be on the right hand side because it's kind of open on that side when you're looking at the photo, and I didn't want it to look like that photo was looking at the kind of marquee poster right there. Do you know what I mean? I wasn't having that. So I promise I will get to my Some Assemblage Required goodies, but I gotta get the base of my page down before I actually start decorating. I don't always do that, but in this case I felt like it was important. Now, I also decided to flip my layout completely over here. So instead of that gray edge being on the left-hand side of the layout, which was my plan, it is now on the top. I also went ahead and left that torn edge on the green there because, paper tearing is cool. And I still love it, so I'm going to keep doing it. Now, if paper tearing isn't your jam or you're kind of over paper tearing, then just like move on and do the other things that you like to do. Maybe you want to ink your edges instead of paper tearing because that's what gives you joy. So go for it. I am pulling out this little chipboard piece. Now, I only have the small piece left here in my embellishment box. I used the larger one already. And now I am going to figure out what I want to do with this right here. And, I was thinking that this was just going to be a decorative piece, and then I thought maybe I should journal inside that circle. Maybe I should incorporate this into my title. I'm thinking all of these things, and ultimately it is just a decorative piece. And I am going to use this acrylic. It is a white acrylic that has like a glitter print on it as well. So I'm going to use that as part of my title. Now, some of the stars that I am going to pull out actually didn't come from my embellishment box. They came from the shop. So of course, if you want more of the goodness, similar to what is in your box, you can always pick it up in the shop as well. So I'm trying to figure out where I want my embellishment to go, where I want my stars to go. And I really am thinking of this layout while I'm making it, that it's still the Great Movie Ride. And I know it's not. I know it is Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. But in my head, it's still the Great Movie Ride. So I am going for the tickets and the stars and everything that kind of screams at me. And I'm just like, in my head, I can't get it out that it's The Great Movie Ride. And I know I just struggled even saying that to you guys, but honestly, it's stuck. So the whole time I'm thinking about this, and that's just the way it happened. Now, these tickets, I believe, are from 49 and Market. They're also in the embellishment box, and they're in a grayish color. So I'm just using my blender brushes to add a little bit of color down. And I add some turquoise color. Could not tell you what ink it is because I use each blender brush for a specific collection of colors. Like I have a red one, a pink one, a green one, a blue one, a teal one, an orange one, a purple one, a yellow one. So I have blender brushes for all of the colors, except I don't have one for white, black, or gray. I will eventually make that happen, but not this day. Not this day, you guys. So anyway, I don't know what the colors are because it's kind of a mix of whatever color is on there. And I just made the Admit 1 tickets, the red color, and the strip of tickets, that blue color. Now these epoxy flares are from Scrap and Happy Studio. And with epoxy flares, you want to make sure that you're using a dry adhesive with them, especially for these epoxy flares. I think with the kind of printed, I think it might be photo paper, with the kind of paper that is used underneath of the epoxy discs. You don't want to use any kind of liquid. You want dry adhesive. So these wood veneer stars have an adhesive backing on them that you can peel off. And I stuck it down on that gray paper, that same color gray paper that I used as the edge here. And then I went ahead and used my fussy blade here, or what is this called? What is the official name of this thing? I have to pull it out to see. Pen blade. I think fussy blade's a better name. I used that to go ahead and actually fussy cut around the wood veneer. So the wood veneer, you guys, is thin, like it's super thin. So you want to be careful. You don't want to cut it through with your X-Acto knife or your fussy blade or whatever you're doing with it. So just, kind of be careful. If you're using scissors, you want to be careful because since it is a thin wood veneer, there's not a lot of thickness to the edges of the stars. You don't want your blades to accidentally cut into your stars because that would suck because they are just gorgeous. So once I get that done, I'm not going to make you watch me do the other one as well. I do back the gray on the set of 3 stars and also the set of 2 connected stars. Now I am going to build up a little cluster over here where those tickets are kind of hanging out the side of that green photo mat. I don't want it to feel like it's just leaning out of there and it could fall out, right? Like if it's just kind of peeking out from underneath of there, maybe I wouldn't feel the need to add a little bit of a base weight to that area. However, it's pretty much fallen out from behind that green paper. So adding the stars there and that other ticket with the epoxy flare on top of it gives me kind of like a base weight so that nothing is going to be rolling out. And then here I'm going to back the other one. And like I said, I'm not going to make you watch me do that because, it's not a lot of fun to watch me do that. But I will tell you, I actually did cut that one with scissors, but I cut them with my teeny tiny little scissors. And I absolutely adore these teeny tiny little scissors. I picked them up off of a give and take table at a retreat, and the blades are literally just under 1 inch. Like they're tiny, tiny little scissors. I'm sure you guys have seen me use them before. But I felt like that was safe enough to cut my wood veneer. So be careful with scissors because it did get hairy there for a second. So now I am going to pop up these tickets and I am moving where I had them on the layout. So I'm going to pull off the backings of these little round pop foams and then adjust it so that it can layer over top of my flare right here. Now, sometimes I like my flare on top of things and sometimes I like it tucked under. I don't have any really hard and fast rules about flare. And you will notice that when I do have hard and fast rules, I kind of break them. So they're a rule until I decide I want to do something different, right? Like, but isn't that really how our scrapbooking should be? Maybe not should be, but could be. You do what you want until you don't want to do it, and then you do something else. So yeah, that should be a good rule. Your rules are hard and fast until they're not. I feel like that's my life. Sometimes I feel like I change my mind while I'm doing a layout. Sometimes I change my mind while I'm doing a process video, where I could be talking about something and then I'm like, I might be over that. And that's kind of crazy that that happens that way. But I think if you scrapbook a lot or you talk about it a lot, you can change your mind. Like I'm sure I've said something 3 years ago that is completely different than what it is now. And that's not me like making up stories. That is just me evolving and changing in my scrapbooking. And that's just kind of how it goes, right? Like, think about it. So I've talked about this before, but when I first started scrapbooking, everything had to be archival. I would only use Creative Memories albums. I was such an album snob. Well, maybe not when I first started scrapbooking, because when I first started scrapbooking, it was like really, really on the cheap. But a few years maybe into my scrapbooking, I would only use Creative Memories albums, and I wanted everything to be archival and everything had to be beautiful and perfect. And then I was like, well, I'll use metal in my albums, but I won't have it touch the pictures. Oh, I'll use paint in my album, but I won't have it touch the pictures. Oh, I'll use fabric in my album, but I won't have it touch. Now I don't even care. Like, I'll just slap that stuff down on the layout, cover up a photo, cut the photo, mix media on the photo. Doesn't matter, right? Because I have evolved and changed and grown in my scrapbooking. So I don't want anyone, and I say that kind of stuff, and some of you might be like, Sandy, just shut up and scrapbook. But sometimes you just need to hear that it's okay to change how you look at your scrapbooking, and it's okay to change how you look at your processes and your products. Like I feel like that's normal and natural to grow and evolve with your scrapbooking. Or, it could be natural for you not to change anything about your scrapbooking. You could have started scrapbooking 38 years ago and you were doing the same exact thing that you were doing 38 years ago and you love it, right? Like you are loving it. So why would you change if you love it? So anyway, you do you, basically is what I'm saying. So yeah, see those little white handled scissors? Those are my tiny little scissors I got off the give and take table. So I have these transparency film strips that also came in my Some Assemblage Required January Embellishment Box. So I cut it in half and I'm just going to tuck it in 2 different places. So one over there with that leaning ticket thing, and then one up at the top here where this cluster is. So it is in my cluster, but it's not touching the things in the cluster, which still means it's in the cluster. Sometimes we get stuck in our heads that if we're clustering something, everything has to touch. It doesn't. Spoiler alert, my clusters usually don't have everything touching. Now, when I first started, like building clusters, they might have all touched. I'd really have to go back and look at my albums for that, but I don't want to go back and look at my albums to see the technique, really. I just want to look at my albums for the fun memories and the beautiful pages. Let's be serious. So anyway, I put those wood veneer tile stickers down. It says All-Star Ride. And I'm still kind of feeling great movie ride-ish. Now, I did use a Copic marker to cover up that chipboard right there. It is a similar color to the red page. And then I added in the stars as well. So I've got this kind of nice embellishment thing going on here with the stars.
Thank you so much for watching. Be sure to check out the shop, and I will see you guys again real soon for another video.